I'm done trying to live up to others' expectations. Family, society, class, race, sex, or religions. It's time to break free from the isms that make us feel like we're in prison. I'm ready to be unleashed as fuck. I'm ready to be unleashed as fuck. Tired of the madness, done with the sadness. Gonna break free and be unleashed.
Hello and welcome, because we're happy you're here. I don't know what that was. Hey, last week we talked about how shame is weaponized in religion, but that leash extends way past the church. It just doesn't stop there. And so this week we're talking about societal shame. And the system. It's funny because I was talking to my wife this morning and I said, hey, we're going to talk about, she asked what we're going to talk about. And I said, societal shame. And she says, what do you mean? And I said, well, how, society shames women. She says, that, you didn't talk about that. So
we're on it.
The systemic shame presented can be presented in parenting, politics, media, everyday conversations. And these things, they tell women how to act, what to wear, how to speak, what words to speak, who to be, how to look. It's another reason why so many women are still shrinking, apologizing, and second-guessing, even when we all know better. I mean, we know better, but it happens. It's just like it hits you.
Yeah, and this is the kind of shame that doesn't get named. It just looks like good manners, good parenting, or parenting being protecting you from getting in trouble or upsetting someone. But underneath, it's really just about control and the fear of losing control. I mean, that's why people are controlling, is because they are afraid of losing control. So we're unpacking how societal shame shows up, how it keeps us small, and how to start unlearning it for real.
That's a really good idea. And, we all need it. We all need reminders, even if this is something you're working on or have worked on, it comes up. And we're going to talk about that. You're listening to Unleashed AF, the podcast that rips off the mask, exposes the leash, and challenges you to lead with your full damn power. I'm Deidre Beecham, and I'm moving my script around. Who am I? I'm Deidre Beecham, and I'm a power voice catalyst for women who are finally done with their nice girl training. Just done with it. I've left a religious cult, came out after 20 years of marriage, and spent 27 months rewiring my brain and healing my nervous system. Now I help other women to stop performing and start leading.
That's right. You do. And I'm Jenny Baddig, a certified hypnotherapist, coach, and human factors engineer, and liberator of your subconscious superpowers. I help people understand and unleash what's already inside them so that they can stop sabotaging and start soaring. And together, we're here to strip back the BS, call out the leashes, and explore what it really means to be free in your body, in your voice, and your damn life. So if you love what we're about, hit follow, subscribe, like, share, all those kinds of things. Drop your comments and thoughts either underneath the video as you're watching it, or you can go to our website at unleashedafpodcast.com, and you can go to the WWJDD page, which is What Would Jenny and Deidre Do? That's where we can get direct feedback to us that we can make sure we follow up on with you. We're here for truth, rebellion, and your authentic, unleashed life.
Oh, I like that. I like that. And it seems that everyone has an opinion about what a woman is supposed to be wearing, what a woman is supposed to be eating, saying, doing, thinking, feeling, acting. And it just goes on and on. And what's crazy is that we don't always recognize it. And sometimes because it is so systemic, it's just a part of the culture. And we don't even realize it's wrong until somebody steps out and they start acting differently. And then everybody's going, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
Wait a minute. What's happening? And we're either attracted to it or we like cut it off because we've been trained to
Hmm.
shame those people who step out of the quote unquote norm.
Right. And really, I mean, I think part of the problem is needing to have that norm be such a big deal.
Yeah, like what is normal?
Yeah.
I mean, who decides that?
Right. I mean, I understand in terms of trying to be aware of what to expect. Everybody's seen the bell curve, right? Where there's like maybe 20%, 10% on this side, 10% on this side, and then the rest kind of falls under the majority of people
Right.
do this. But that's also part of what you would call, or you could call a spectrum. So I'm kind of glad that we're going towards referring to things that used to be just you're either in the box or you're out of the box, as
Yeah.
more of being on the spectrum now, right?
Yeah.
So because normal is just different for different people. And it shouldn't necessarily be defined by society as a whole. It should be defined as what's comfortable for you. So
Right.
it just becomes more difficult to even realize when we have shame that's coming from that perspective because it's systemic, right? It's been baked in from every
Well,
direction, really.
sure. I mean, I can remember when I was a kid, watching TV, and the things that were on TV were Father Knows Best, My Three Sons,
Mm-hmm.
right? What was the one? The one with Leave It to Beaver. I was like, the one with
Mm-hmm.
Beaver, Leave It to
Yeah.
Beaver, right? And
Right.
what were those? Women staying home, taking care of their man, being made fun of for various things.
Even All in the Family was that way.
And so, while we don't, oh my gosh, yeah. And while we don't, although they faced a lot of society's issues, which I appreciated, but him alone with himself without the kids coming over, horrible.
Yeah.
But and while we don't have those kinds of shows on the TV now, those ideas are implanted in you, and then it
Mm-hmm.
just comes out. When I first got married, I was very much, oh my gosh, this is how I need to be now because I'm a married wife. Rather than
Mm-hmm.
I'm just me, I just am also married now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Because that was what I had been taught. That's what I've been raised with.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. And in reality, I am kind of glad. TV is just a way that so many people get their information. I think less so for the younger generation because they seem to be on YouTube watching stuff. They don't have the patience to watch an entire TV show, like what we were kind of groomed to do. But still, there's so many more shows now that have different normals, right?
Mhm.
And it's great to have that displayed for people so that they can feel almost more comfortable with it, even if they're not seeing it in their own community. I loved Modern Family when it was on to show a whole different, perspective of this is what family looks like these days.
Mhm. Which, of course, also really upset the people that don't want that to happen. They don't want it to be normalized that there are different types
Mm-hmm.
of people. And then that's where all that shame comes in. I mean,
Right.
it's just well, before we move on to like more of the root cause of this, which is kind of where we're going right now. Um, why don't we share? I know that I think when we were talking before the show, we were planning on Monday. You had a story about how this
Yeah.
was showing up in your life.
Well, I just remember not long after I'd moved down to Florida, I made it a habit because I came from Ohio and we don't have beaches in Ohio really. So I liked to try to go to the beach every
Mhm.
weekend if I could. And so there was one time I had gone to the beach and I thought, you know what, there's some piece of furniture that I need. Let me just stop by this furniture place that's on the way home from the beach. And I mean, I was kind of all sweaty and just had, shorts and a tank top on with my bathing suit underneath, hair up, in a ponytail, of course. But I'd been at the beach for a few hours, so I was hot and sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked into this furniture store, and it was blatantly obvious to me that no salesperson was interested in coming up and helping me. And I thought, that's interesting. Do they think I don't have money because I'm not dressed like professionally? It's a weekend, for Christ's sake.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only thing I could think of is, well, I was a single woman for one thing. So, she probably doesn't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was dressed like a beach bum, basically, so I would literally stand there and stare at them they were all like congregated chatting about something. And I would stand next to whatever I was interested in and just kind of look over at them, waiting for somebody to look at me. And they wouldn't even look at me. And I thought,
wow.
And so
That's
eventually,
crazy.
I think I did try to walk up to one of them and ask them about the price or something like that. But they just were not in any way interested in selling to me. And so I left and I thought, I'm not going back to that furniture store, even when I'm dressed up in like what I would wear to go to work. This was back when I worked at Harris as an engineer. I had plenty of money to spend in that store, but I was not going to spend it based on how I was treated. And so I can just imagine, other people that would walk in there, whether it's because they weren't dressed nicely enough or just if it's about being a single woman walking in there. Anything that would make them think, oh, she probably doesn't have the money, or they probably don't have the money to be buying something here.
It's really interesting. This isn't about me, but a person that I met down in Florida, and she had a gun store. And the reason she started the gun store is what's so fascinating to me, because she was alone in the house. Her husband was overseas. And there had been a thief. What do you call them if they break into your house?
Burglar?
Is it a robber? Burglar. I don't know. One of them has to do with, there's a reason one use one than the other. Anyway, thief. So thief going through the neighborhood. And so she was scared. She was like, what if they come in here and I'm home and it's going to happen? So I want to be able to protect myself. So she went out to a gun shop and was completely ignored. She went into another gun shop and she came in, a guy came in behind her. She stood at the counter and was ignored until the guy came up behind her, and the guy behind the counter looked up at the guy behind her and asked if he could help him.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I was here before him. And he was like, I just assumed you were his wife. She's like, I came up to the counter.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's this whole mindset of, why would a lady want a gun? And it's all based on this, because of this whole hierarchy, patriarchal, systemic stuff that's in the society.
Mm-hmm.
That men tough, but we protect, and you little woman, you just stay at home, we'll protect you. And so here's a woman coming in saying, no, I want to protect myself, and the guy's like, and so she's like, if women are treated like this, and there were other much better stories, but if women are treated like this, I need to make sure and help women to have a safe, comfortable place to go to, that if they want to purchase a gun, they don't feel shamed and feel made, people trying to make them feel small. And she says, they're going to come in here and they are not going to feel small. I'm going to make them feel special and seen.
Yep.
Which is part of what the shaming is. The whole shaming thing is to get you to change to whatever it is that people want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Going into the root cause. And now let's go over to the root cause.
Yeah. Well, I think you even had an example of how this has shown up in your life before.
Oh, sure. It shows up all the time. Well, one that I can remember very distinctly was a time when I realized that I was breaking it. It was when I recognized it. I recognized how it normally would make me small. And that was when I was asking for directions. And I had gotten to the area where I was trying to get to, and there was a store I was trying to find. And I knew it was in a building. It was one of those buildings where the bottom floor had stores all over it. And I couldn't find it. I had walked in and I couldn't find them. And so I walked back out and stood at the edge, and I thought, well, I'll find something that makes sense, explain to him which direction I'm coming, where I am, and then ask him, okay, so where do I find you? You know, is it better for me to come in a different door? So I called and I asked, and the guy just treated me like I was stupid and that I couldn't be looking at what I was looking at. And in the past, I would have heard that and just been like, oh, I just kind of shrunk and just gone, you know, this is because it's uncomfortable. And I've been taught that you don't express anger, right? Anger's very ugly on a woman, right? Have you ever heard that? It's just ugly on a woman. And so I had, you know, so I didn't express anger. I would always just shrink myself, because how do you act? You know, so I would shrink. And I was feeling it. It was in that moment. The anger rose immediately. In the past, anger took longer to hit because I'd been taught so well to squash it. And I had been doing a lot of work on myself, and so it was starting to be unsquashed. And so this anger kind of rose up. And because of that, I stood where I was and I told him, no, you're not hearing me. You're not listening to me. I am right here. I am in the right place, because he was trying to tell me I was in the wrong place. And I said, I am in the right place. I am standing outside of these doors. Just simply direct me to where you are. And lo and behold, he did it. He figured out where I was and how to get there. And it was such a powerful thing. It was such a powerful moment. I don't know that he even realized he may just do that, because women can't follow directions. Women don't know where they are unless they're with a man. So yeah,
And then he won't stop and ask for directions.
right?
And just thinks he knows
because
where
it's
to go.
seen as weak. What
Right.
in the world?
Yeah.
So, you know, so what is this really all about? I mean, why the shame? What's the point of the shame? And you know, I always say it's about control. It's about power. It's about telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
mean,
take that over.
I mean, shame, if you think about it, the main purpose of shame is to make you feel small, right? That seems to be the primary objective, to make you feel less than, to make you feel small. And that's why, I mean, both of us sort of gave our examples, but thankfully both of us weren't prey to the shame. Like, we didn't fall into the trap, because we recognized it. We were like, wait a minute, that's not
And not
us.
that we haven't. Certainly
Right.
not that we haven't.
Right.
But yeah.
But those examples, we happen to both be able to stand up to it. Because when shame is successful, it does make people feel less than, which then therefore makes the person shaming seem like they're above or bigger than or higher than or better than or whatever. And so that's just part of the tool set, kind of, that people can use to stay in control or in power of other people. It's a bullying tool. If you really think about it, it's all bullies would use something that would shame the other person to make them feel less than, whether it's a physical thing that they do, whether they, beat them up or whatever, or whether it's with words, jokes, making fun, whatever. It's just to make the other person seem smaller.
And I think, and I don't think that everybody who does these things to other people, I don't believe that everybody's conscious of it. I don't believe that everybody's conscious of, well, I'm doing this because you are not at the level you need to be. You need to be put down a peg. Are there people like that out there? Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for the most part, that's not happening. We're just so unaware of the systems, and it doesn't excuse you. Just like being racist doesn't, and not being completely aware of the systemic nature of racism doesn't mean you get off the hook.
Right.
But it is understandable. What's not understandable is you not working on figuring it out.
Right.
Okay, now we're on a completely different topic. Let's get back to women.
Yeah. Although when you brought that up, it
Mm.
made me think in a different direction that we've talked about before. I mean, what would you say about how narcissists use shame?
Oh, that they're masters at utilizing shame.
Yep.
Absolute masters.
It's probably one of their biggest tools.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
By far. Oh, yeah. And what's really interesting, since you brought up narcissism, and for those of you that don't know, because I just learned this a year or two ago. So if you haven't heard, if you've had a narcissist in your life for a period of time, it alters your brain chemistry. So, this systemic nature of what we're talking about, the shaming of women, the shaming of minorities, but we're talking about women right now. All of that is just so built in. It's so built in. But again, we need to fight it. We need to find ways to fight it. I remember when it wasn't that long ago that, oh wait, I was getting ready. I was telling something. What was I telling? So I want to tell you something that I didn't know until a couple of years ago. Oh, being a narcissist changes, alters your brain chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And it can alter it so much that it makes it terrifying to step into your own power.
Mm.
It actually can fill you with anxiety, the idea of standing up to somebody. Fighting for yourself is terrifying. It alters your brain chemistry so that the idea of stepping outside of your nice girl training or your shame training is tantamount to jumping off a cliff. I mean,
Well, it
fighting
takes you back to survival mode, right? We talked a couple of weeks ago about how shame really probably originated way back when there were, in terms of survival, if you weren't part of a tribe, you were way more likely to get killed or, hunted down by animals or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So there was definitely power in numbers. So it really takes you back to that kind of survival instinct.
Yeah, it does.
To be out on your own, to be outside of what your comfort zone is fight or flight.
And it's absolutely debilitating. And when people are like, well, I just don't understand why she didn't leave him. I don't understand. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? They found out it changes your brain chemistry.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the ability to fight, then that's what you're going to do. And if you can't flee, the best way to flee is to shrink.
Yep.
And you shrink, and it's all the power and the control goes to the person that is shaming you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And certainly, I think we've also talked the last couple of weeks about how I'm trying to catch up on Handmaid's Tale. I'm into season 4 now, and my God, shame absolutely was a huge aspect of what they used on everybody that was there against their will. Really, the handmaids, the Marthas.
Well, yeah, and part of that's happening now. What had happened in there, because they had the eye, right? The eye's watching you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what these things are when they're like, well, we're going to create a registry so you can call up if you see somebody doing this or you hear somebody doing that. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
So you can report on people,
right?
All about shaming.
Yeah. And so that's why I think it was hard for people in those situations. And I think you've mentioned as well that everything that it was Margaret Atwood, I believe we found was the author.
Yeah. Margaret Atwood.
Everything she had included in that book was something that has been done somewhere in the world at some point.
Yeah.
So in those cases, it's easy for people on the outside to go, why didn't you just leave? Well, even though there were no bars necessarily holding them down, there were all kinds of things that were intimidating about the idea of going out on your own, breaking away from what you were told to do and shamed into doing. To fight back or to try to
Well,
break
sure.
out
A
was
perfect example of that is the elephant, right? So the circus elephant. So they put a chain around the elephant's leg. I mean, of course, we all know this story, but you put a chain around the elephant's leg when they're a baby, when they can try as hard as they can to fight against that chain, and they are not going to be able to break it. They know they can't break it, and it's set in their mind they can't break this thing.
mm-hmm.
Then they grow up, still have the chain around their leg, easily break it. I mean, they could just stretch once and break this thing,
Mm-hmm.
but in their mind, can't break it. And that's the very, very similar to what shame does to you. You know, if every time you try to step into who you are, you hit something that hits back. And
Right.
it could just be mental. You know, look at the elephant.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a mental thing. And that happens to human beings that are in these situations. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something that I have a lot of clients that come in for hypnotherapy work. They probably don't realize when they first come in that shame is a significant part of what they're trying to battle against or what they're trying to overcome. But that's where so much of it ends up going, is that we have to work through some kind of shame that has kept them small, or that's held them back, made them feel like they weren't good enough, or they weren't worthy, or they weren't whatever.
And sometimes you don't know what that is, right? Don't people
Right.
come to you and they're like, I feel this way. I can't move past this. I don't know why. They don't even know what that thought is, but they're stuck in this story, right? They're telling themselves, and sometimes they don't even know the story they're telling themselves.
Yeah.
Until you kind of stop them and ask questions. That's what I find for myself, but I'm sure you find that for you as well.
Absolutely. And a lot of it is because of things that was a part of their parenting, you know, the experience they had from their parents, the way they were brought up. And when that's all you know, you don't realize what was utilized. You don't realize that shame was part of that equation.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just, to you, that was what was normal.
And because of that that training, and you know, I always talk about nice girl training, but it happens to guys too. And I certainly did it to my kids. I have 2 boys, and I certainly did it to them. I did not realize what I was doing. I understand so much more now. I've apologized to my kids. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you've grown up with this, as certainly people our age have, and if you kind of embraced it for whatever reason, whether it was narcissism or religion or your parents, there's something that kind of really, really made it stick with you. Even when you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I've got it. There are instances that are going to happen where it's just going to trip you up. It does not mean you haven't learned. It does not mean, oh my gosh, I thought I knew how to do this.
Yeah.
It's okay. I used to really beat myself up when I thought I had something, and something would happen. It would trigger me into acting an old way, acting small, shrinking, disappearing. And I'd be so upset with myself because I'm like, oh my gosh, haven't I learned this? But that's how insipid it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that if it's something you haven't done deep trigger work with, if you haven't gone into the situation and analyzed, why am I getting this trigger? What is the story I'm telling myself? Or working with Jenny with hypnotherapy. I mean, it makes a huge difference to be able to step on the other side and go, okay, I see now why that tripped me up. The beautiful thing is that you can recover from it more quickly because you have done all that work before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Once it's in the light, once you're aware of it and you've kind of gone through situations or examples where you can overcome it or you see yourself overcoming it, it makes it much easier to do, like in real life. as it comes up again. And, just like you were saying, being around a narcissist for an extended period of time can change your brain chemistry. The nice thing is it can be changed back.
It absolutely can.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's part of the whole premise of neuroplasticity and things like that. Hypnotherapy absolutely is one of the tools that can help change that with just, repetition and imagery in something like a hypnotic recording, or the interactive protocols that I do with people where we dive in and look for any subconscious self-sabotage. Usually part of that self-sabotage is the part that's being influenced by the shame. And so we have to confront it sort of head on and explain to it, kind of knock it around and take the blinders off and say, look, this isn't true.
Yeah. It's interesting, when I started going through this 27-month experiment, one of the things, when I started recognizing the pattern of nice girl training and realizing that what had happened to me my entire life, and what has happened to a lot of women, not all women, but to a lot of women, is we've all been brainwashed, right? That's pretty much what systemic means in a way, and not directly, but you can indirectly get from it that those of us that are stuck in it, where it's in us, we have been brainwashed. And so when somebody says to you, and the easiest thing for me to do is to go back to racism for just a second, because it was such a big deal for me. I never saw myself as racist, ever, never, ever, ever. And it wasn't until I saw other people being called out for things that I thought in my head. I'm like, well, if somebody would talk, say something on a Black person's post, and I'd be like, yeah, I get that. And then the person's going, just leave. And I'm like, what did she say? I don't understand what she said. I mean, I had to do a lot of work and figure out what was it. I didn't even recognize some things, not all things. Of course, using the N-word, obvious, but more subtle things, the systemic things, the things where I don't see color. So I never realized how racist that is to say that, to think that. And I just didn't understand. So it's been brainwashed. We've all been brainwashed to some extent. And so once I realized that, I was like, well, I can brainwash myself the other way. We can all brainwash ourselves any way we want to. So why not?
Yeah.
And that was part of what the 27 months was. I brainwashed myself, right? You can brainwash yourself into anything. It's fascinating. Fascinating stuff. You're fascinating, Jenny. What you do is
our subconscious is fascinating.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
So we want to invite you. You said, yeah. We want to invite you, sorry, to think about what area of your life has made you feel small. What part of yourself have you silenced or hidden to be accepted? I know for myself, one of the things that I hid for a long time was my brilliance. You're not even supposed to say that. You're not supposed to say you're brilliant. You're not supposed to say you're smart. That's so arrogant, Deidre. And so I hid it. I wouldn't step into it. I wouldn't say, yeah, this is who I am. This is what I can do for you. And that there was shame around not only saying that, but acting it. In school, I want to raise my hand. Put your hand down. Who do you think you are? And I was like, oh.
Been
okay.
there. Yep.
And you just shrink and shrink and shrink. And so, when you grow up that way and you get into society, and then suddenly society's like, all right, if you're going to be in this job, you need to follow all the rules. And you're like, oh, okay. And eventually, for me, I was like, I can't do that anymore. I need to be an entrepreneur. I need to. So everything inside of me knew that was capable, that was possible. But then the old way of me growing up came clamoring in and going, yeah, but you can't tell people that you're different or special. You can't you can't do something that's different from everybody else. But that's exactly what an entrepreneur needs to do, is something
Mm-hmm.
different from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So crazy how that gets
Yeah.
stuck in you. So what part of yourself have you silenced or hidden just to be acceptable? So answer that for yourself.
Yeah.
What
It's
about
a
you,
great
Jenny?
introspection.
What about you, Jenny? Is it something
Oh
else like
gosh. I mean, when you were saying that, I was like, yep, I've been there. Definitely, told not to raise my hand too much or not to ask too many questions or whatever. And I also remember specifically when I was in college, I think must have been my sophomore year. We were on a trip with my volleyball team, and one of the girls that was older, I made some comment, some smart ass comment, because that's my humor. I hear
that? Right.
something and I find something, like I have a tie back to that, to something else, and I just blurt it out. But whatever it was, I cannot for the life of me remember what it was. But this one girl who was older than me had said something. I made a smart ass comment about it, which everybody laughed at. But she said, "Jenny, I think I liked you better as a quiet freshman." And I was like, "Oh, I guess maybe I shouldn't be so funny, or I shouldn't say things that I know that I'm laughing about on the inside. Maybe I should just keep it to myself." Even though, like I said, everybody else in the van was laughing with me. But yeah, so I've had to squelch my humor a few times for sure.
Well, I think you're much better at letting it out now, though.
Oh yeah, well this was well over 20 years ago,
Yeah.
but it certainly quieted me for a while, at least around certain people.
Yeah. And I wasn't planning on talking about this. So
Let's go for
I
it.
had something completely else in mind, and then there's something that I've recently been sharing with people, just kind of testing, because you don't want to come online or do, because again, nice girl training's like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to step out and say something that a whole bunch of people might, it's going to happen anyway. People are going to be upset about what I say.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been sharing with people about what happened when menopause came around. So, for many, many, many years, it was very put together. I would just trudge through any hard times. You tired, if you want to get something done, you do it yourself, and that kind of attitude. And
Mm-hmm.
if you want something done right. So that was kind of me. And if you had a problem, I could fix it. There wasn't a problem I couldn't solve. And you got issues with
If you
this,
have
I
a
can help you.
problem, yo, I'll solve it. Is that what you're saying?
Check out the hook. Yeah. Well, my DJ revolves it. But yeah, it was, I would fix it. I would get it done. And and I had this, I didn't realize at the time, but I had this kind of performance persona that I would have on video. And
Mm.
I had to hide who I was for so long that I didn't know that it was a persona.
Mm.
I didn't know it was a persona. It was kind of hyped up and speaking a little loud and la 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 la. I just didn't even realize I was doing it. It wasn't quite that hypey, but yeah, it was bad. And when menopause hit, a number of things happened. So if you haven't hit menopause and you're coming up on it, listen to this
Buckle
because
the fuck up.
because I have spoken to several women now who all basically say the same thing. I thought I was losing my mind when menopause hit. And this does not happen to every woman. Okay. There are just special ones. If you've been holding up, this is what I've discovered from my own experience and other women who have gone through it as well, that if you have over your lifetime been holding up a mask, if you have been performing at some level, whether it's your persona that shows up when you talk to people, when you're online, when you're on video, or it's just a masked way of being. Like I would hide all of my ADHD. I just would beat myself up every day for things that I did not understand were part of a diagnosis, that were part of a thing, and that it was just something I needed to work with. And so when menopause hit, there's something that happens, and it's really hard to explain. And the best thing, the thing that women go, that, when I say it, is that it feels like I don't know how to be anymore. I don't know who I am. I don't know how to be. Everything is going to set me off like this. It's like going through your menstruation, your period, right? It's like going through that times 100 without all the abdominal pain. It's not times that 100. It's, but it's not that. All the pain that would be down there is up in your head. It literally makes you feel like you're losing your mind because you don't know who you are. You don't know how to be. You don't know how to act. Everything, like all your nerves are right at their end. And again, this is my understanding of the intensity of this is only for women who have gone through trauma that have this mask up. And in my case, the ADHD too, but certainly if you've had a mask up and you've been performing, it shatters. I don't know what happens. It just shatters. And it is very disconcerting. It's very confusing. One of the things that really helped me was somatics. Somatics helped me so much to help me learn how to ground myself. And I did grounding exercises. And then, of course, Jenny and I already alluded to it. I used hypnosis tapes to help to brainwash myself. But I share this because I had no idea. And I felt like, oh my gosh, do I need to go to a therapist right now? I mean, I really thought I was losing it. My poor wife. I mean, I'd stand there and just throw my arms up and throw my arms down, just go, ah! And just trying to throw the energy out. I had so much built up inside of me that just came pouring out of me when the mask came down. And so I share that because you're not alone. And if it's coming up, you're okay. You're going to be okay. And I think it's a much better idea to figure out who you are and rip off that mask and get to your authentic self before menopause. It's so much easier. And not that taking off your mask is easy, but it's easier to take it off yourself than it is to have it ripped off.
By hormones.
By hormones.
Or melted away by the hormones.
So if you're ready, you're ready to, put the nice girl training aside and step into who you are with power and into spaces that you felt were scary before, and you're ready to step into them, I want to invite you to come to Burn the Mask. So it's at burnthemask.com. And at burnthemask.com, it should tell you what time it is next week. Oh my God. Do we have a little banner for Burn the Mask?
I'm working on it.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to look up and see what time it actually is. Burn the Mask. Okay, it is May 28th, which is 5 days Wednesday. So it's on Wednesday, and it's 12 to 2. And so you can just go to burnthemask.com and sign up. It is free. I will warn you, this is not a workshop. It is, there aren't any handouts. It is just you and me and whoever else shows up, and we go through what you can do to start taking that mask off. And so it's very intimate. It is 2 hours long, but it is no charge. This is your chance to find out if my style of working with you to help you to take your mask off is the type that you want to work with. You are going to get real results in those 2 hours. Everybody that comes will get real results. And then you can decide, well, I got all the results I need. I don't need you. That's great. Or I love working with you. I think you're fantastic. I want to stay working with you. I have different level options available. So would love to have you come.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let's see. Let me move on.
And I would say probably in your case, a couple of things that were helpful when you went through that process was having a wife who I'm assuming had already gone through the menopause process herself, right? So she was.
That is an assumption.
It is an assumption.
It is incorrect.
Oh, okay. So she didn't have that, but she also had some kind of like counseling experience.
Yes.
In her past,
my wife is a counselor from the past. So when the mask got shattered on me, and I lost my shit, the nice thing is that she didn't go, "Oh my God, what is happening?"
Right.
Instead she was just like, "Huh, this is interesting."
Right.
I'm concerned, but this is interesting. But she was great. I mean, she's the person you want in an emergency because she's just really calm. It's funny because I am too, really calm in an emergency. But yeah, that certainly helped because when that happened, I mean, I had to trust that I could do that in front of her because it was so built up, it was going to come out, or I was going to have to make myself small again. And I just couldn't. I couldn't hold down the anger. I couldn't hold down the stress. There was no mask left. I couldn't hold it. And it all came out at once.
Yeah. And I'm sure not all partners that people are with would be as understanding as as Myra. So even more reason to join you at the Burn the Mask event to get some of that support that may not be available from, a partner if you're going through that situation or about to go through that kind of situation.
Awesome. Yeah, that is very true. Thank you. We want to leave you with, on a joyful note. We have two videos we want to share with you this week. And I think I want to start with Will Ferrell's.
Sure.
Because he's talking about women and how, well, let me just play it. Let me put us over. Oh, you did it.
I did it for you.
Look at Jenny go.
Forget about the entertainment world. Isn't it just time? Isn't it just time for women to run the planet? I'm not just trying to placate you, I swear. But I don't know what else to do because we, men, we've been running the show since what, 10,000 BC? Something like that. And we're not doing so good. So, please, can you guys just take over?
Yes, we can. And which is, I think, one of the reasons we're having so much kickback. But let me put up Jasmine Crockett. I love this woman. This is 2 minutes from her 19-minute commencement speech.
Every movement that we have ever had has been led by young people. I know that y'all look at me and y'all think that I'm young, but just know this. I am older than Medgar was when he was assassinated. I am older than Martin was when he was assassinated. I am older than Malcolm when he was assassinated. So if you think that I'm young, I'm here to tell you that y'all's work is cut out for you because there's so much that stands before you. And some will tell you that there is a hill for you to climb. In fact, there is a poem that I oftentimes like to refer to. It is by Amanda Gorman. And some states wanted to say that she couldn't have her writings available as well, Florida. And it goes, for there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it. if only we're brave enough to be it. My charge to you is to understand that your moment is not in the future. Your moment is now. This country is relying on each and every one of you to walk into your purpose and to walk in greatness with your head held high. There are going to be people that tell you that you don't belong, and I am here to tell you over and over and over that you absolutely belong. There are people that are going to tell you that there is not a table in which there is a seat for you, but I am here to remind you of Montgomery and those folding chairs. Let me tell you that we know how to use a chair, whether we pulling it up or we doing something else with it. Let me be the first one to tell you that I know that y'all are ready to put your boots on the ground.
I got my boots on the ground.
Yeah.
I love that. Ooh, we've got squiggles. Where did those come from?
I don't know.
Yeah, let's see. Nope. I don't know. We've got squiggles. I don't know where the squiggles are. That's hilarious. Oh, shoot.
There we go.
Oh,
I
you
don't know why I
fixed
went
it.
back to that, but yeah.
That's really weird. All right. Awesome.
Yeah. And, you know, the interesting thing about that is, just like we said earlier, shame is sort of the unnamed thing. She doesn't say anything about shame in that commencement address, but she's definitely addressing it.
Yeah, she is.
She's talking about, you know, step into your purpose, step
Stepping
into
out.
who you are. Don't let them make you small.
Mm-mm.
That's all about
Yeah.
shame.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. And we were talking about the ripple effect. And so that, you know, every time a woman or man, you know, but every time a woman steps into her purpose, every time she says, I'm not listening to that shame anymore, I'm stepping into my power. I'm stepping into what I believe is true and what is true for me. And once she does that, the beautiful thing is it gives other people permission to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And it is a ripple effect, because then that person affects 2 more people, and then they affect 4 more people, and so on and so on.
And they tell
What was
their
that?
friends.
What was that? A Clairol commercial or something? I don't know what
some
that
kind of
was.
shampoo.
It was some kind of shampoo.
And so
Okay, we are
on, so
aging
on.
ourselves, and so
Yeah.
on and so on. VO5 maybe? I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway, just a quick reminder that June 14th is the No Kings sit-in. There are people talking about potentially blocking the tanks in the military parade in D.C. Wow, that's brave. But keep up on the news on that. As soon as we know what is going on, we will let you know. And we do know, and I know we've made this a lot less political, but I have to say this, that the big beautiful bill that Trump keeps talking about, which is really a
I think that
bill
needs
that
air quotes around
strips.
it.
It does.
Right? I mean,
Big,
it's really the
beautiful bill.
big, beautiful bill. So
Yeah.
it's not actually big and beautiful, but
No, it is not. It is
what
not.
he's calling big.
But the big beautiful bill, which is what Trump keeps calling it, it passed the House, and so it needs to be knocked down in the Senate. And it is highly unpopular. It will have devastating effects to our economy and people. So get on your phone, 5calls.org. Please do that. We're going to do that. We're doing that. Please do that. The more people that can call, the more people that can make a fuss, the less likely they are to do it. It is not a foregone conclusion. We need to fight this. So please do.
And I believe even the other things that we've brought up recently that were passed by the House are still stalled in the Senate, right? I don't think those things have been passed either. So even though they'll make a big to-do about it in the media, like, oh, they passed this bill, it's not actually passed and happening. There's still time to call and say, this is not
There's
what we
still time.
want.
There's still time. So please do. And we didn't mention, and then we also have Mobilize Us if you're looking for places to go before June 14th. please go to mobilize.us.us and you can find out what's going on in your area.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, make sure that you break a rule this week. Break a rule that used to shame you, whatever your internal rule is. I'm not going to speak about this, or I'm not going to do this, or I wouldn't dare go outside without sleeves. That used to be me. So
Ooh,
I didn't go
yeah.
out. I didn't go outside of the house with anything above my knees for decades. Scary. So no shorts. So next week we're going to explore how perfectionism incorporates shame and can stifle even the most intelligent, amazing, powerful women. Perfectionism. It's just another shame. It's another shame thing.
Yeah.
Because if I don't give this, if I don't put my best foot forward, I'll give you something perfect, then I'm going to be in trouble. I'm not going to be my best self, and that's so shameful. Yeah, we don't say those things, but that's where the perfectionism.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, you want to close us out, Jen?
Sure. So if you all enjoyed today's episode, again, subscribe, follow, like, share. If you have a topic, question, or if you want to be a guest, we haven't had guests in a while, but certainly if there's a good argument to have a guest on, we'd be happy to interview someone again and talk about a significant or a pertinent topic. Go to our website, unleashedafpodcast.com.
Oh,
and
I've done that.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. I got you. And you can go to WWJDD, or we also have an actual guest application on there. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, you can fill that out about what you'd like to talk about and all that good stuff. And so in closing, remember, you're not too much. You're not broken. The system is.
Oh my goodness. Yes, it is.
You're unleashing, and you need to keep going. And we're here to support you on that.
All right. Take care.
I'm done trying to live up to others' expectations. Family, society, class, race, sex, or religions. It's time to break free from the isms that make us feel like we're in prison. I'm ready to be unleashed as fuck. I'm ready